Hello, friends. It's me, Cynthia, and
Hi.
Azalea, and Marty. This is our beloved, and we're Greengirlstudios, and this is our Wednesday edition Magic Hour. Today, Azalea has challenged me to do what were we calling it? We had to come up with a better name because they have a in Tucson every year. There's a flame off. And what is the bead design challenge when you get the beads? I was going to say, are we doing bead, a bead
Beat
off?
off?
But then I was like, that does not sound good at all. So, um, however you want to call it, if you're watching and you're like, what are they talking about? It's where you get a pile of beads, you get some components, and then you have like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever to make something good. And as I was like, why don't you do one of those challenges? It'll be like when you're on Sam's Beads with Rachel. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen that, but sometimes I'll go on with Rachel Siegel from Sam's Beads, and I'll I'll have opened the package like right before. I'll be like, and that's the challenge, right? You want to see what can you make with something that someone else has put together and you didn't choose it. Sometimes it's easy to go into your patterns of, for me, it's always going to be like pink and green. And it's like my favorite blend, like a teal with it is really good. Oh, hello, my friends. Hello, Melanie. Hello, Tina. Hello, all y'all out there. I hope everybody is staying warm, or if you're out in California, hopefully you're staying uh, not like you're not in the evac zone, because that's horrendous. We're expecting some crazy weather here. I don't know if you could. We put on this like they're like healing vibe sound effects in the background where people are like, I don't know, they're humming or something and they're hitting a drum, and it sounds pretty good. Oh, Melanie says it's freezing in Florida, Northwest Florida. And is it actually freezing, or is it just cold? It's cold here. I've got my heated vest on and I have it turned on. The front and back it's heats up, but I cannot stand to have the back one done because it's almost too hot. Hello, Arlene. Hello, Cindy. Wachi, Florida. Is that where the Oh, from Wiki Wachi. You're living where I have always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to and see the Wiki Wachi mermaids. I think Candy went, and she said it was pretty awesome. So that's on my next time I always say I'm going to go do it, but I never leave myself enough time to go see the mermaids at Wiki Wachi. Oh, I see my friend Clem. Hello, Clem. Hello, Cecilia. Hello, Arlene. Margaret. Hello, Mary. Yes. Hello, Cherie. Mary says, "Hope hello to everyone out there. Hope you all are having a good beginning to the new year." Yes, we've been having a good year, a good beginning. It's been pretty action packed. Right now, we're kind of it's a little I don't know. There's a lot of wind happening, and the other day I noticed this tree was overhanging my studio. It's right over top here. And I was like, man, that looks like it's leaning quite a bit more than I remember. And Greg was like, oh yeah, we need to have that taken care of because it's pulling up from the roots are kind of leaning over. And so we called a friend of ours that happens to be in the tree business, and he went up there and climbed like a spider monkey and attached all these cables to it and attached it to other trees around that tree, the one that's leaning, and it's hopefully not going to fall in the house. So that's good. Oh, I see. Clem says beautiful in Northern California today, like spring. Feels so bad for the people in Southern California. Yeah, that's hard. We lived in Glendale years back, and before Azalea was born, or
BA.
or how we call it, BA, and it seemed like there was all the time you had to do. There was all the time you had to watch for the fire, and there was smoke all the time. We used to walk over at Griffith Park. It's very nice. Oh, our friend June. Hello, June. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Karen. All right, my friends. That was like 5 minutes. How did that happen? 5 minutes of my time that I was going to do this challenge. All right, I'm going to switch this camera over really fast, and I'm going to show the kit. Azalea made a kit. Well, we both kind of made a kit, but it's mostly Azalea's inspiration. She's thinking of me. She knows what I like. All right, I'm going to switch this camera around. And also, does everyone remember that this is the weekend of the midwinter market? Oh, Griffith Park is on fire. Man, that is horrendous. I hate hearing that. I used to walk out there all the time. Let me give this a little... There's a camera right here, right underneath. I'm going to hit it. Yeah, it's like, what's happening in the universe? What's happening?
A lot of weird stuff been going down lately.
Yeah, I'll say. All right, I'm too zoomed in. You don't need to go that far. Get rid of that heat gun. I need that in the picture. All right, where am I? Oh, Clem says Mala kit equals temptation. Yeah, look at what Azalea put together. Look at all this juicy goodness. This is a little on the smaller side. There are smaller beads in this one. So instead of the great big ones that I usually like to put in there, like this size, this is from another kit. That's like a 10 mil. This time we went no larger than 9 millimeter. And then some smalls. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a design challenge. We're gonna pretend like we're on somebody else's live.
No.
Not on my live, because I rarely finish anything on my lives. That's okay. All right. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this chain a little once over. Now I had this. Oh, here it is. Man, this is kind of rough looking. So this is another type of polishing pad. It's I don't remember the brand. One side is kind of I don't know if you can see this. It's very textured, and the other side is very soft. And it's designed, you can get a satin because it's got a little bit of abrasion. But I want it to be a little shinier because it's been sitting in a bag. So this is brass chain. And it has a powder. That's one of the things I'm not crazy about. That's why I like pro polishing pads. But you know, I did not see a pro polishing pad right at my fingertips, so I'm going to go over this. Oh, yeah, Wendy just saw the news about the fires. It is scary. My friend Joanne is going to go. After our trip to Tucson, she's headed out west, further west. She's more adventurous traveling. Usually after Tucson, I need to go lay down for a minute. Okay, so I'm just giving this a little bit of a polish and also think while I'm doing this. So that side's supposed to shine it up. This side, if you use it, you can get kind of a matte. I'll do these corners here. You can even hear it. Maybe you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear that. It's like sandpaper, but it gives it a little more of more matte instead of shiny. I actually kind of like that, so I'm going to go over the whole thing. Oh, Azalea, Robin has a message. She says, Azalea, I sent you an email several days ago, so you can check it.
Does anybody know what you're supposed to do when you have a seed bead kit and you can't find the instructions for it?
Whoa.
When it's an old seed bead kit?
Who's made it?
This one. I don't know why the instructions are not in there. Like
that might be. Let me see. Hold it up again. I think they're digital. Yeah, that's a digital.
Oh,
you have to email it. I think you have to email it. That's not it there?
No, this is just the cover of it.
All right, I have that. Let me put this in here in my blend. Or maybe I'll do it like this. Oh, I love that story. Clem says, received the Forgotten Ocean Secrets kit last week and already made a knotted necklace using that linen cording paired with some turquoise nylon thread. So much fun to make. Thank you, Azalea, for the inspiration. Awesome. I love hearing that. Oh, Pat says, looks like the polishing compound on a jewel tool on the pink side of the cloth. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I don't know what the story is. It always leaves a residue, so it's not my favorite. I usually like the brass to be a little brighter like this, and I keep it in bags. It's an anti-tarnish. There's a little anti-tarnish. Oh, this one I made for, check out how this looks. I went over it again. This was a project we did on Sunday, making these cards. I'm going to have these printed from a local printer that's Joanne's partner, who owns a print shop in town. Wouldn't that be pretty? Just have to imagine it in a cellophane thing around it, and on with it says, like, maybe it says Greengirlstudios up here, or maybe down here. I don't know. Might be too busy. I'm still debating on how I feel about it. But that's that one, and then this one came out pretty good. I don't know which one I like more. But I'm burning. Look at, see, I talk too much. Talking too much.
No, I'm not on you like Rachel's on you.
Rachel, she keeps me on the straight and narrow. She's like, let's see what else you're doing. What else are you doing, Cynthia? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on a design challenge.
Stop talking.
Stop jibber jabbering. All right, so I have, what is this gauge? This is,
I believe I handed you 26, right?
oh, this is 26. It feels like maybe too much thin. I have the other one here sitting. Maybe this is it. Can you look around and see if I did not put that somewhere else?
Yeah.
This is from where is this from? Paraport, I think. You know those guys over at Paraport. Let me get a little bit out. And you got to be careful to always loop it back through, because if this whole thing springs,
This is 24.
it'll be like this, and nobody likes this story when it's like this, and it gets everywhere. Cynthia says, do you have a kit for TGBE? You know, we are working on it. We're really working on it, working hard.
I
Oh,
would consider the kit that we just made to be kind of a part of that a little bit.
yeah, this kit is kind of, we're
I'll
going to launch it for, what'd you say, honey?
I'm going to drop the link again.
Oh, so this is the one here, and I was going to save it for TGBE, but I think we'll just have it right now. You know,
Yeah.
wait.
Then you guys can be ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm. On Sunday at 2:30, I'm going to do another hat band. I did a hat band right before last time because we were heading out to Tucson, and I wear my hat, and I thought, you know, this is the time to do it. What is all this on my area? There's always something in my area. All right. I think I'm going to start. I cut it, and as I said it, it sprung. Completely sprung. Maybe I can weigh it down so it doesn't keep going. I'll put it on itself. Wires going everywhere. Yeah, the hat bands, I wasn't a big fan for a number of years because I was like, it's just something to get lost because I was always misplacing my hats. But I'm just going to put this away this time. All right. I think this might be too fine for what I'm doing. Maybe. I'm filled with indecision. But that can happen. That's the hard part of when you're on a design challenge. And the design challenge today is to use this chain and to use these beads and make it look good. Make something that looks good. That's the parameters. And it has to be almost done by the end. Nearly done. So I'm going to just start. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't even know what's going to happen.
Exciting.
Yeah. Is it exciting? Sometimes I find it's nerve-wracking.
I bet it's exciting for people to watch.
Well, maybe. Is this background a good color? Maybe I can go lighter. It's kind of a little bit, What do you think, Azalea? Does it look too dark on the screen?
No.
Just about to go and get more. I'm going to pair these out. And maybe I'll do something either... It's hard to say. The fastest thing would be to get head pins and put these guys on head pins. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, so we'll see. I'm going to have some things hanging around. I don't know if anyone else does this, but when I'm in the process, sometimes I will just look at the items and do one of these types of things, like this. I'll get some head pins, and I'll see what it looks like. And that way, you can kind of move it around and see if it's going to look good on dangles. Like, do I want to dangle these? Will that be a nice... I'm going to zoom in. Zoom in a little bit. Oh, my friend Ann Gardan. Hello, Ann. We are going to do a really cool couple of kits with Ann. Y'all, get ready. We're devising it in Tucson. And it's going to be a good time. That's pretty good. What do you think, Azalea? That look like a good amount? Does it look tight enough?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to set these here. And I could do something where they dangle off of the chain. That's a favorite look. It gives it a kind of a gumball, kind of a whimsical, like, maybe kind of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I have it in my, like a banner, maybe. Not a banner. Banner's not the right word. Where they're like fringe. Fringe is not the right word. So this is pretty. This is, what is that? It's kind of a pink quartz. And this is aventurine, amazonite, and I love this orbicular jasper. It looks like Mars to me. Although, if you were to look at it, it's not, they don't really look like Mars. But they have a kind of a planet look, and they're all a little bit different. Like, look at this one. I think these are my favorite ones where they're like white ivory. They remind me of beads made with, if there's any glass beads out there, like Donna probably knows this, when you get that old ivory and then you put the turquoise or cerulean on top and it makes these neat patterns. I was telling Azalea about, I was like, we've got to get all the glass cleaned up because I have several boxes of glass to go through and to get our area complete. We've been moving things around in the studio. It's pretty fun. We're getting the kiln ready to do some lamp working, and it's all by the casting station. Like, the casting station takes up the most room. I love this green. It's so pretty. That smooth, it doesn't look like a pea. It's like a perfect, like you see, it seems like you could squash it. It's got a little bit satin finish. I like it. So I feel like if you play with shape and you have all a consistent shape, size can be pretty interesting to throw in. So what I'm going to do is put some that are very small. And I'm just looking at this now. I might not even do it. Azalea's idea, she was like, oh, you know what you can do is you can cut the chain and do sections. And I might also do that. But what I'm doing now is I'm doing something to give my brain a place to start from, to say, hey, do I like this look here? Do I like this sort of long? I actually kind of like the long pin. That could be interesting. Yeah. So I'm just going to start. Maybe I'll start from this end. So I got this long piece of this chain. I cut like, I don't know, 2 feet. I thought that would be plenty. Yeah, sorry, my fingers from that stuff. That's the other reason I don't like it. I mean, it was handy, and I bought it, and it works, but I hate that residue that happens with it. All right. So I'm just going to do sections. And maybe what might be an interesting thing is do sections with passages of dangles in between. I don't know. But I do know that I would like a longer piece that has some movement. So I like to layer my necklaces. I don't know if anyone else, that trend that was happening, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, they called it neck mess. I was really into that, where you just layer it and pile it on. That always kind of appealed to me. But I need to put my optovisors on because can't even see what I'm doing. Katney says, curious, Cynthia, when you go to Tucson, it is a family event since you're all in the business, or do you go solo? Azalea goes with me. We couldn't afford to go, all of us. And plus, Max would be so bored. I can just picture he would be so bored. All right, so I'm going to put, which one should I put on there? When in doubt, go clear or neutral. It's like, where's the hole? Can you get me, I'm going to get my glasses on. And now I'm getting overwhelmed. All right, now I can see. Ish. All right. Yeah, it is a family business, but there is, when I see that ugly wrap I did, what's up? I'm going to clean that up. If Laura's watching, my friend Laura that does the impeccable wire wraps, she would probably be horrified at them. But you know what? I'm trying to go for speed, and I'm already at the 22-minute mark. But I think I'll save it. I'll be able to get in there and move a little quicker. Oh, and our friend Joanne is going with us this year. We're getting an Airbnb, and I think what I'll do is I'm not going to complete it. Maybe I'll complete it. It doesn't hurt to complete it. Complete this little wrap. I took off way too much wire for that. All right, and I'm going to pinch that. And I like to pinch them flat. On this chain, it is also flat, and it makes it stronger. Now, if you twist too many times, that's no longer work hardening. You're making it brittle, so you have to be careful. Okay, there's one loop out of that. All right, I like it. So maybe what I'll do is I'll cut. I don't know. What do you think? Should I cut it? Maybe I'll do it where you cut every, I don't know, 5 or so. That could be interesting. Or is that boring? I guess that's boring. Let's just see what happens. I particularly like this, whatever this is. What are these silvery gray ones, Azalea? Do you know? Yeah, I know offhand. I know I have the list.
Silvery gray, huh? I would not know that offhand. I'd have to look at it.
I'm getting overheated. Maybe I'll go all neutrals first. Or smalls. Could be interesting. Like maybe every 2 or 3 and then drop a drop. So let's see. Or maybe I'll like it without. You never know what's going to happen. I'm just going to chop different sections. We'll see what happens. It's usually a fast way to go. Yeah, I have 2 sizes of wire. I have one that is a 26 gauge, and it's very fine. It's all off. It's like in the floor. It's like the thing sprung because I didn't catch it in time. And this is the 24. This is from Parawire. These tools, I have from different places. These are Tronics. I love them. They're really good. You know, I like making this kind. I don't know if other people like doing these, but I like a beaded chain quite a bit. And I have several that I've made over the years. I've made them with pearls and silver. I mean, I've got a pretty good collection. One of my favorite ones that I made pretty recently was one that I did with opals. And that looked really good. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite things. And it looks good layered, you know. You can layer it with a bunch of stuff. And if it's not too heavy. Let's see, that looks fair. Oh, this one's not labradorite. This is like a iolite shadow or something. These I am particularly drawn to beads that are hard to find and that no one's like, that are kind of, you know, it's like, I guess they call it specimen collection beads. It's one of my favorite things about this industry is that there's all different kinds of, I mean, there's never ending sources of stones. Oh, and this one, this is a brown labradorite. I can see it. It has a little bit of a flash. I don't know if you can see it, but I just noticed there's a brown flash. It's pretty. It's subtle. It's a very subtle bead. But in the sunlight, I bet that would be real nice. So maybe what I'll do after the fact is go in and these are the ones. These are from Zuron. I don't know if you guys know that brand, but they're, oh, I almost finished that off like a little ding dong. That, how many times have I done that? I bet a lot of people. You start talking, you don't link them together. Oh. Oh, Wendy's joining us. Hey, Wendy, finally got off of work. It's a good feeling. Yeah, this is got a little clumsy on that end. Sometimes my wraps, if I go too fast, can look a little bit, how do you call it? I like the term the messy wrap. My friend Nina, she's like the master of the messy wrap, where it's like a little bird cage, or bird nest, I mean. And she'll put like those Swarovski rondelles in the inside the knot part, or not knot, the wrap part. Looks really cool. Oh, thank you, Caroline. The Sophie's Garden, if you guys seen Howl's Moving Castle, that's what the inspiration. Oh, hello, Barbara. Hello, my friend. So that's fast so far, you could see. So I'm not going to measure in between each one, although if you were really particular, you could count how many links you put in and did it that way, you know, because it's kind of fun. What I like to do is something that has asymmetry to it, just because, you know, I feel like your eye is always hunting for patterns. You're always looking for the pattern. And if it's like every 2 inches, your eyeballs will go over pretty fast, I feel like. Like you're like, oh, I know. Your brain has already processed that information. But otherwise, you're like, oh, is it every 2 inches? No, it's not. And you're looking longer and you're noticing more. At least that is for me. What am I going to choose? And this is a neat stone. This is a ruby in kyanite. Let me see. Where's my ruby? Right. I always do this. I need to hit it where I can get it. And look how I don't know if you can see it. The ruby fluoresces because of the presence of chromium. And the more translucent, the brighter the flash. I wonder if there's any other ones in there. Oh, that's neat. There's another one. In daylight, it's like a pink. It looks pinkish to me. Pink and blue. It's a good stone. Love it. Love pink and blue. It's like a perfect stone for me.
I remember when your hair was like that color.
I was just thinking, around 2020, before 2020, I used to do my hair where I'd have it bleached all on the under. They call it the low lights. All my low lights were bleached out, and I dyed them purple and pink and blue. It was very festive. But after 2020, I kind of got lazy with my hair. And I did bleach it I was going to say the other day. That was like 2 or 3 months ago. Let me grab the silvery one. And then I changed my idea, or my... Okay, so these are all kind of dark. I'm going to go in with some light ones next. Maybe a passage of like... Maybe I'll do some smalls. Although if you do a lot of small ones, then you're wrapping more, and it takes longer. And I'm at the 30-minute mark already. Can you believe that? It's like I just started.
Okay, you're just time blind. It's all right.
Yeah, for sure. I never heard that term. And it turns out it's accurate. Greg will say, hey, let's go to this thing in a few minutes. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to run to the bathroom. And then he's like knocking on the door. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I just started to clean the sink. And then that led to... and then I noticed I needed to fold this thing over here. That's, the Apple Watch has been saving me. Because there's little reminders. And I say, I'm going to be back in like 2 minutes or whatever, 3 minutes. And then it'll beep, and then I'll be stunned that that's actually how long 2 minutes is. Like, that was like a blink. All right, that looks pretty good. This dark background is not helping.
No, it's not working out for you?
It's fine. It's just not as, like, it's okay. Like, when I look at it on the screen, it just looks dark. That's better. I'm going to scrape all this stuff over here. Oh, Pat says, can't keep the skunk stripe out of my hair. Sometimes that looks good.
I wouldn't call it a skunk stripe, though.
Yeah, I don't like the word skunk stripe because that sounds like, it reminds me of that skunk from the regular show, that cartoon with Mordecai and Rigby.
That dude was meanest Enos.
All right, now I kind of made it where you can really see the mess happening. All right, so that's so far not bad. You guys can roll that direction. I'll have to make a barrier with another bead. They don't roll too far. All right. Where am I chopping it? Maybe here. Maybe I could chop here. I was like, man, my hands look really chewed up. What's happened? And I just touched that thing. Maybe that's pretty. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, Candy's looks good. Love Candy's hair. Miss her. I'm going to have to see about going to her little, her new endeavor with canoes. I love canoeing and kayaking, although I can't swim very well at all. So it adds that extra layer of excitement to any kind of activity involving water, because there's that whole terror of drowning. And it's funny because I was telling somebody, I was like, I actually am very afraid of very deep water, and I won't go, and I don't like to go boating, even though I want to do it. It's too nerve-wracking for me. And they're like, and yet you are always painting underwater scenes and mermaids. And I'm like, well, fixate on things like that, just natural. It looks pretty good. Has a nice weight to it.
Maybe you just want to be part of that ecosystem.
Oh yeah, I do. I want to swim with the manatees.
Just not as a human.
Oh, right.
Maybe you want to be a fish.
Oh, yeah, I would love to be a manatee. I think that would be a good animal for me.
That's funny.
Floating around, grazing, relaxing. I for sure would not be a shark. All that swimming around.
All that action. And
All that too much action.
Not enough sleeping and floating.
Mm-hmm.
And being tender. Maybe that's what you will be in your next life.
Maybe, you just never know.
A manatee.
I do love the shape of a manatee, that's for sure. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Pretty good. So let's flatten it. You know, I find that your beads can stretch out pretty far. This was one of my old tricks when I was starting out. If I didn't have very many beads, which I didn't, I would pad it out with either leather or cord or inexpensive chain. This is a brass chain. This would not be inexpensive if you were to use, say, gold fill or sterling is not too terribly expensive for that. Oh yeah, Cynthia says, but you need to watch out for the boat motors. Ideally, I would be swimming where there'd be no boating. That's in the perfect world. If I were a manatee, I want to swim where there's no.
You're not even a manatee, but you already got specifications.
I want to be a manatee that's swimming where there's no. I want to be a manatee swimming in the Crystal River because there's nobody bothering them over there. When we were in Florida, it was so. I was trying to take video, and my mom kept every time I turned the camera on, she'd go, "Oh, oh my God, is that the manatee?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm trying to film."
Dolphin.
I was like, "Stop naming it."
She's just saying stuff as she's seeing it.
Yeah, and there was like so much wildlife. She's scaring it with her, like, "Oh, hello!" And I'm gonna stop greeting all the animals.
It's like they're gonna run away.
Oh, this alligator! Stop greeting them. We're trying to sneak up on them to take pictures. Like my brother and I were like, pretending we were photographers for National Geographic, and I was like, "Check out this shot." You know, it was pretty ludicrous. And how goofy we were being. We were a little on the goofy side. I like this purple one, or this pink one here. Sheree says, "Cynthia, you can have my manatee body." I've got my own manatee body. And he's sitting over here on my chair, taken up. He's like all the same colors. You should see it. It's so cute.
He blends in.
He's like tan on brown. He's like the color of a puma.
I actually
my
left
little
him up here
furry
for
fuzzy
hours
manatee.
Oh, he's sleeping with his face pressed into the blanket in one paw.
I love it.
It's so
obsessed with that cat.
I wish I could take a picture of my phone being used. Look at how handsome he is. Okay.
All right, this is looking, I think, pretty good. You know, I always get to this point where I'm like, maybe I can add, and I want to go like really crazy with it and put like a bunch of things, but on really long pins because I love the way the long pins look. But then I forget that I've done that before, and what sticks in your hair and in your clothes more than a long head pin? Nothing sticks more. That's what. And then I'm like, oh, I remember why I don't want to do this. But I like the look of it, so that's the hard part. Karen says, I love swimming in the ocean. I just hate the sun. I'm too pale. I also like to swim in the ocean. I like to swim where I can see it, though. The dark, deep water is, that's where things can hide. You know, I'm from Florida. You don't messing around in that foggy, dark water. You might get a surprise. Let's see, what don't I have on here that would look good? This pink one so far. Let's get some of this peachy moonstone. That'd be pretty.
Sorry, I'm coughing like every 2 minutes. I'm still sick.
I like the color. On my screen that these beads look kind of black, but they're not black. They're blue. Florida water is scary. There's no can about it. It is scary. I mean, there's like snakehead fish in retention ponds. After Hurricane Andrew, there were a lot of these, I guess they're called distributions. I don't know about distribution, but these warehouses that had lots of pet trade animals, like things that you could find, like boa constrictors, all that kind of stuff that you would keep for a zoo. And they had huge warehouses. But when the hurricane hit, a lot of those were dispersed into the ecosystem. And now they have an actual job that's like a bounty hunter, that their job is to go and hunt those creatures because they're scary. And like a snakehead is one of those animals that they're very beautiful, very colorful, but they tear up anything that's in their environment. They'll just kill it, just their nature. And you could see, I was visiting a friend a few years ago, and they're like, check this out, we've got a snakehead living in here. And I was like, how do you know? And they're like, check this out. And they threw a piece of chicken into the water, and it was like a barracuda or something in there. It just snatched it and tore it up. And I was like, listen, we need to get a fishing rod and get it. We don't want that thing spreading or breeding. It sounds hateful, but they don't belong there. They don't need to live there. That's looking pretty good. Now this is getting more, that's getting a good size, I think. Yeah, Florida has too many. Oh, do they have jaguars? I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. I know that they had the panthers, but anything that's, if it's set free, it's, there's has nice weather, same weather as Central America, similar-ish. Put a big clear one, I think. Or no, this one would be a good one, this peachy one, peachy and gray. This is an interesting stone. This is sunstone in iolite. Check that out. Isn't that crazy? So you get the flash of sunstone, and then on this side, look at that flash, like labradorite. So it's like, and then this side's kind of like moonstone. I just love it. This is a beautiful stone. It's like, where's the piece I cut? Oh, I didn't cut it yet. I think I'll put it here. Maybe I'll make it closer. Oh, yes, and there's lots of gators. Lots of gators. I'll never forget my friend Bob, who was visiting us. We drove down to see my mom in Florida, and I was like, "Oh, I was on the drive down. I kept looking." He's like, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I'm trying to see if there's any gators in the alongside the road, because sometimes you can see them sunning." And he's like, "That's just made up. That's not that many. It's just exaggeration for the tourists." And I'm like, "Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. There's tons of gators." He's like, "Nah, I don't believe it." And so I was like, "Okay, we'll see about that." And we went on an airboat ride. It's really loud, by the way. I didn't know how loud that could be. It's super loud. And I told the guy, I said, "Carl, this is my friend Bob." And Bob says, he's a Californian, by the way. He says that there aren't that many gators in Florida, and it's all just like a thing to get tourists to come. And he was like, "Oh, is that right?" And I was like, "I'm afraid that's what he said." Yeah. And it was that guy's like joy in life to scare Bob. We went up to a bank, and he's like, "Check out over there along that where all those logs are." And Bob was sitting there, had his camera, his big fancy camera. He's like, "I don't see anything." He goes, "Do you see the logs on that side?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a bunch of trees that have fallen in." He goes, "Those aren't trees." And as we were watching, they were sliding into the water, coming towards us. And I don't know if you've ever been in an airboat, but those do not sit high in the water. at all. They sit, you could put your hand down, like right in the water, very close. Maybe like, it's not like a normal kind of boat. It's kind of a flat, it's like a table with a big fan on the back. You feel like you're just kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like you're all that safe. And he's like, oh, I see him now. And they swam all around the boat. It was so, I loved it. I felt like I was, because I'm kind of goofy that way, where I'm like, oh, they're so charming. Look at this one. That one's at least 14 feet. And he was sweating it up. He's like, are people ever killed? And he's like, of course.
Of course.
He's like, they sometimes can drag a whole boat. And he was so horrified and scared. It became kind of hilarious.
Well,
I don't know why it was hilarious.
That's what he gets for talking.
That's what I said. It's what you get for talking. Clem having an anxiety attack. We were all fine. It was fun, but we did see a lot of beautiful wildlife. That's the thing about Florida that's amazing, is that we saw roseate spoonbills, so many things. Egrets, blue herons. When Azalea and I were walking, the last time we were there, we saw a bunch of wild pigs. It was pretty fun. Man, I closed that up. I knew I shouldn't have closed it up. I'll put this side will be, I don't know. And I thought to myself, don't close that one up. But then I started talking, and I absolutely closed it. Maybe I'll just do it again. I'll make this one a little closer. There's no real pattern, although, I don't know. I'm leaving, kind of sporadic lengths. I like it. And I want it to be long, so this should be plenty. It was long when I did that. Oh, I misread your quote there. Cherie said the gators were talking. We love our food that smile at us. I don't know how y'all feel. Maybe that might be gross, but I kind of enjoy gator fried. I mean, they have them where they grow really. I mean, they hunt them there because they grow fast, and if you don't keep the species in check, they can get to where it's a big problem, and you don't want to. They don't really have any kind of predator. We're the predator. Because, I mean, what else is going to take down a gator except for maybe like a puma? And there's not very many of those around. Oh, let's see. I see one that there's someone, what Barbara says. Let me see. Barbara saw an armadillo. I love seeing armadillos.
We saw an armadillo there, too.
Yeah, the last time we were there, we saw armadillo.
The same time we found the hogs.
Mm-hmm. That was good. And then I was so tempted to try and pick it up. And I remembered, because it didn't run away from me. And then I remembered in my mind, I was like, it's not running from you. And it's not even trying to get away. And then I was like, oh, remember, it can carry leprosy. And I was like, I'm keeping my distance. I did not touch it. So I left it alone. But I did get very close to it so I could see it. And I took a lot of videos of it that I never really did anything with. The last time we were there, we saw these little raccoons in the trees, and they were so cute. And I was like, oh my God, they're so adorable. And I was taking videos, and I was like, what is wrong with me? I've got raccoons that I'm trying to get rid of around the house that keep, like, the other day, there was one that it was in the garage. I left the garage door open, and we work in there all day long. And I came in there, and that raccoon put its paw up in front of its face as though if he couldn't see me, then he was all like, then it was all good. And he just walked out on his hind legs. I was like, I'm in Narnia right now.
Narnia right now.
What is happening? This creature is walking around on its hind legs, and it's going to start talking any minute. I know it. It was a young one. But I know he was going for the beef jerky on the table.
Going for the beef jerky.
Mm-hmm. There's bears too. The bears, this one guy, we were in, where were we? We were in California somewhere. He was like, there was this one time I saw a bear, and I am not joking, like from here to this, and it was like 500 feet. And I was like, that's pretty far. And he's like, well, it was there. And I said, listen, check out this video. And I took out this, showed him the video of one off of my porch, and he was like, you're lucky to be alive. And I was like, no, they don't hurt people. Well, I mean, they will hurt people if, you try to touch their babies, or, you try to touch them or ride on them or whatever. But they don't really, they're very docile. I would not say to that if it was a grizzly or like pretty much any other kind of bear, except for like a panda. But, yeah, they're not, I'm never really afraid of them. No, I don't think I am afraid. I was never afraid of them because they run away from me. And then I'm like, this big animal is scared of me. How charming. I just finished this book from Craig Anderson called Tooth and Claw. I don't know if anybody out there likes the Walt Longmire series, but I love them. And maybe it's because George Goodall reads them and I like the sound of his voice. But that was a story that featured a polar bear in it. And it was pretty good. All right, this is getting there. I'm going to try it on my neck and we'll see. But, I thought about, hey, would this look good if I did dangles? And I could be where you do little dangles. Or, I don't know, I'm going to try it and see how long it is. Brown bears are for sure meaner than black bears. I have a terror. If I saw brown bear, I don't want to go anywhere where there's brown bears that can get me. Black bears, they're like cute and they're going to go get their honey. But brown bears are like, aren't brown bears basically grizzly bears? Isn't it the same thing? I don't actually know. There's a lot of different kind of bear species, I think. Or maybe there's not. I feel like there's probably like 10 that I can think of. What do you think about this, Azalea? Do you like what I'm making?
I'm trying to see it. Yes.
These pliers have resin on them. I wonder who did that. Probably me.
Probably, actually, because I don't use pliers and I'm playing with resin.
Sometimes I get goofy with it. And then I'm like, I'll clean it later. Don't be like me. A baby raccoon, that's something cute right there. Now, there was a baby raccoon on my back porch that also tried to use that tactic of hiding its face. And I have these prayer flags that are on my back porch. And I touched its tail. It was trying to get away, and I grabbed its tail, and it was like Marty's tail.
Thicker.
I mean, I didn't tug on it. I just gripped it gently. And it was really soft.
I remember that.
I'm going to grip his tail right now.
And then the mama came out, and she was not as plush. She was like, I was like, what kind of animal is that? That's a raccoon. I was like, it's so big. And it was not even afraid of us. And it was eating the cat food I put out there for one of my cats that was like to hang out on the back porch. Oh, Cynthia says, I love all the deer in the Keys. That's cute. I know those deer, those tiny little deer. What do they call those? Key deer? So cute. The last time I was there, I thought I read something that they were endangered because their habitat was being consumed, which is not surprising. As many hotels as I saw being built where they're supposed to have their home. But those deer are so cute. They were like, is that even a real deer for Florida or for anywhere? It's like, doesn't even look real. Very cute. How long. I need another pink. I've got 2 pinks over here. There needs to be a pink here. I know a lot of folks probably would like to do this with a pattern, I think. Like a nice, you know, where you have small, medium, large. That's another good way to do it. Size gradation. Oh, I'm glad they are protected. They're so adorable. Not that ugly or not cute animals should not be protected, because there are some toads, or there's also gopher tortoises that are not cute or lovely, and they're protected.
Not cute. Damn.
Well, they look kind of like they've got something wrong with them. You know, they look kind of scaly. Like they've got kind of a, I don't know, they just look crusty.
Skin condition.
Yeah, they look crusty. My brother Dwayne has a funny story about a gopher tortoise that lives on their property, and he was bullying a smaller gopher tortoise, and he kept trying to like flip it over and bite it, and you know, just being generally mean to this other little tortoise, because you know, I think they're territorial. And so he was working on his bikes. My brother is he's into cycling, and he saw them like getting the one smaller one getting like totally messed up, and so he grabbed both of them and flipped them on their back and let them look at each other while he was changing the tire on his bike. And he said they were waving their feet around and they were panicking, and he said he left them like that for a while, the whole time he was changing the tire. And he said it looked like on their face that they thought they were going to die. And I was like, why were you torturing these turtles? He goes, because they needed to get along. And he said when he flipped them back over, they looked at each other and they just went in 2 different directions. And then he sees them now and they don't bother each other at all.
Because now they have shared trauma.
They have shared trauma.
Trauma bond. That's so goofy.
I know. I did not see iguanas. Sheree's talking about iguanas. Where are you talking about iguanas? Are there some in Florida? There might be some in southern Florida. Of course, there's everything in southern Florida because of everything that's kind of been released into the wild. It used to be when I was a kid, you'd hear stories, and in the newspaper you'd see cutouts, or we'd cut out stories of giant snakes that were found because they had, like, pets would go missing and they would blame it on gators, and then inevitably there would be underneath someone's house would be like someone's python or something that was in the pet, you know, it was a pet that was released or escaped or something, and just grew because it had so much easy food. Melanie says South Florida, when it gets below 40 degrees, they fall out of the trees. Ugh, no thank you. I don't like that story of them falling out. And we had a house that was very old when we were growing up, and there was a part on the front porch that if you went out in the front, so you had to watch, because some of those snakes, they're like little thin grass snake, like a very small, thin, not even big around as my finger, and they would fall down on you, and it would be very traumatizing. There were some Jehovah's Witnesses that knocked, and when I opened the door, those snakes fell out, and I was like so traumatized myself. I didn't even want to open the door. But that's Florida, you know, and they can live in the eaves of a house. Be a big one. I don't know. Yeah, maybe one of these big ones. Or clear. I need a clear. And I have not seen these giant snails that eat your stucco. I've heard of these snails that people are using for their mucilage. If that's such a word for applying to a snail. I saw it on Instagram where you can get a snail treatment for the face. And I was like, how did this ever Like, how did someone say to themselves, you know what? You know what would make your skin so glowingly soft? Is a snail sliding across your face. I would never have thought of that, and I haven't tried that treatment. Maybe I have to go to Japan for it. Or maybe that's like something in Miami. Oh, Melanie says, I pick up hog noses, rat snakes. My parents had chickens and I was in charge of saving the eggs. I think, Shuri, I just saw that comment. You made a Jehovah deterrent. I think it was like a deterrent for any person. It'd been funny if we made a sign. Snakes fall down from here. Be careful. And no one would ever knock. I used to tell people that Suni, I had a Shiba Inu, that she was like an attack dog. That was like my way of being like, listen, don't be sniffing around here. It didn't really work because she was like kind of friendly.
She's kind of friendly.
She was friendly. I was like, how come you didn't bark and let me know? Someone's here. What the heck? Dropping the ball on your duties.
She would never bark at Lily, but she would always bark at the UPS dude. So, we would always be knowing if that guy was around.
So if you're getting your packages, yeah, that's useful. Oh, I like this cloudy one. North Florida is a little bit different, I think. We lived in Central Florida, and it was different even than Southern Florida. It's like super tropical, I feel like. All right, this is coming along. Ooh, Karen says, I remember when pigeon poop was popular for your face. I've never heard that. People will try anything to be young. Or maybe not young, but slick in the face. Like they call it glass skin. And I was reading the ingredients list of some of this glass skin stuff. And I said, Azalea, this says petrolatum. That's basically Vaseline. They're going to charge $25 for Vaseline.
Yep.
You can get the same look for a lot cheaper.
I know, and it's like the celebrities endorse it. They're like, oh, I need this for my skin routine. That's what makes me have my glass skin, not my 25 surgeries.
The glass skin. And it looks, I don't know if they still do this, but where I went to high school, if you got the Vaseline out, this is going to make it sound like I went to the most ghetto school in the whole world. But if you got the Vaseline out, that meant you were going to fight somebody. And you'd put the Vaseline on so that somebody's nails would not scrape your face. That's what that was for. Not that I ever participated in such activities. Yeah, I'd have been like, why do you have to grease yourself up if you're going to fight? You just fight. All right, let's see how this is going. I feel like that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I don't think Vaseline is great for your skin. I don't think. Looks pretty good. It's a little, I feel like it's a little sparse, so maybe I'll add some things to it. I'm going to check the length. I like it to be a good long layering length. Ow. Now make it this long, so maybe one more here. In a blue, maybe. I didn't go for any of those really small blues. I feel like this one came out more of a darker gray blue and pink. I didn't even really go for much of the green. Oh yeah, I did not fit in with the hood. You know, that was a different time. That's like the 90s. I was a rather bookish teenager, which is probably not a surprise to anyone. Like, I have to get through. I had an obsession with like Dragonlance. I loved fantasy novels, and I liked wearing velvet. And I was saying this stuff I feel like so cheesy just even remembering some of the goofy stuff I got into. So goofy. And broomstick skirts, had every kind of color broomstick skirt. And those great big bags full of my fantasy novels. I either was reading or sketching the wizards in the fantasy novels or the unicorns with really super long horns, like a narwhal.
It's kind of charming.
This one's kind of like one of those ghostly, isn't that kind of a cool, I think this is a cool bead right here. It's like one of the eyes that puppeteer gal, the handsome double puppet maker. Karen says, I was a nerd, and then I was a gothic, then lace and leather. I was a corn nut dog because I liked Star Trek, and I would always try to be like, hey, did you guys see that episode? And I had, this is going to sound so crazy. I was kind of in love with Jean-Luc Picard, who's my captain. Don't tell that to Greg. He won't watch the show with me then. But I loved him. He always did the right thing. So smart. So commanding.
That is a crazy confession.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, there you go. That's what happens when you go online and you go live. You never know what's going to come out your mouth. Certainly not me. I didn't know I was going to say that tonight.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Engage. Make it so, number one.
Oh my god.
I know. I'll stop. I'll stop making it worse. Azalea's, listen, y'all, she's blushing from here. And
No,
she's
I'm
embarrassed
not.
for me.
Lies and deceit.
I can see your face. It's pink.
No, you're just reflecting off my hoodie. It's a reflection.
Oh. Listen, Cherie, she says, I grew up in the Valley Girl days and we all wanted to be Madonna and wanted to marry George Michael. We were way off base. Girl, when I was like 8, I was obsessed. And I thought, George is going to be my husband. Yeah. No, he wasn't. He wasn't going to be any of our husbands. So handsome. He made that Miami Vice half, like that kind of sloppy beard. He made that handsome. I'll just keep going on this. I know, if this were the design challenge, I would be late, I think. I would not make the deadline. Of course, it's usually like 2 hours, the ones that they do in Tucson, the ones I participated anyway. They're like, you have an hour and a half or 2 hours, and that was plenty of time to make something. I was like, listen, you got all the time in the world, 2 hours, it's like forever. And then when you're in the hot seat, you're like, wait a minute, 2 hours is not forever. Yeah, here we go. It's getting longer and longer. But those are some nice soft colors. When you look close, you can see some of that delight. This one looks dark, but that's actually a brown labradorite. I'd never seen that before. In the sunlight, I just caught a glimpse. It was like a little flash of that brown. Very pretty. All right. I think what I'll do, let me check the link. Maybe the one where I closed off the end, I can add the clasp. Although in theory, if I'm being real here, I am not going to ever unclasp it. I'm going to just put it over my head. So I'll probably end up doing that one over and just doing over the head. Maybe I'll put one more here. And see, that was 2 feet. Look at how much with each addition of a link, you get, you're expanding your length by like half an inch. Oh, thank you. Barcelona Rose. Thank you. She says, very lovely work and beads. I am pleased to hear it. This is Azalea's new kit that we're calling Sophie's Garden.
And I love that necklace you made.
Oh, thank you. Karen says, how do you recognize so many gemstones? Well, I'll tell you, I look at them and I get under a magnifying glass and I study them and I like reading about them and I like listening to other people talk about them. I'm kind of obsessed, and I have been for ever since I can remember discovering stones. Like when I found rocks when I was a kid, I would keep them in my pockets. Nothing has changed. I still do that. Oh man, I didn't put any of these on there. What was I thinking about? Put one right there, right now. I think what I'll do is I'll just connect it. Because sometimes, you don't need a clasp. Especially if it's going to go over your head. But I will say clasp is useful if you want to make it where you have multi-lengths. So if you put a lobster claw on there and you can make it where there's like a dangle on the other end, you can change the length a little. So if you have a different kind of neckline on your shirt that you want to showcase. But usually I'll just throw it right over my head. It's my favorite way, and I'll layer several. I think they look good. You know what, I'm in the mood. We were watching Midsummer Murders again. That's like our comfort show. Watch that all the time. That and Star Trek. Azalea is not a big Star Trek fan. I tried to get her into it. I was like, look, what other show can you think of where there are women, people of color, there are like alien races, and it's all like they're like talking about getting along by Starfleet Federation standards. She's like, her eyes start glazing over. I don't think I convinced her.
It made me tired. It's not, I don't think it's bad. It just made me sleepy.
Oh, thank you, Pat. Pat says, I've learned a lot about stones from you. Thank you. I'm glad. I love stones. If I could pass on that love, that makes me feel happy because they're beautiful. With minimal attention from humans, you have these things that just grow in the ground. It's like, I'm like, it's like artwork, but it's more than that. Better than that. Yeah, look at this particularly good one. These, before they whittle them down, they call it orbicular because they're balls. And it's a really crazy looking stone. And that's the pattern it makes when they've ground it down. It's neat. I want to find some in the rough so I can show it. Oh, Miss Marple is good on PBS. We've seen those so many times. Clem says, do you like Doctor Who? Of course. Of course. We were just watching Doctor Who. We were watching the Christmas specials. I can't decide who's my favorite. I like all of them. Well, I haven't seen the new ones. I will say that. I am behind on the latest Doctors. The very latest. We were caught up on Matt Smith, but I have not seen the latest ones. So I'm excited to see. I need to just catch up. But we started from like season 1, episode 1. So there's a lot of catching up to do. But my favorite combination was Donna Noble and David Tennant. The David Tennant Doctor. Was he 10? Mm-hmm. Which one was he? Mm-hmm. 10th Doctor? All right. Let's see. I think I'll just I could connect it. Here's the tricky part is, should I just cut it off and start over because I closed it off? Otherwise, I could have just closed it like this. And then there you go. And then you have how many beads? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 beads. That's 12 beads. But who's counting, right? Nice. All right, let's flip this camera around. You wanna? Oh, you're not. Are you gonna pick up that sleeping cat?
He's resting. Doing things.
Oh, he's tired.
That kid has enough for a mala.
Oh, yeah. So if you wanted to make a traditional mala, was it 108 beads?
We had that is for a traditional mala. The kid had 181 beads.
Oh, good. Thank you for counting it, Azalea. So if you wanted to make a traditional knotted mala, there's plenty in there to do it. I find the traditional mala, I know they're not supposed to be used as like, it's not supposed to be like jewelry. It's a spiritual prayer tool. But man, it kind of gets heavy on the neck. So the half mala is what I like. Yeah, I do like this. I like the idea of a sparkle. I might go in with some pieces. I have these laid here, and I might go in and put in, you can't even see them, but maybe teeny Herkimer diamonds every once in a while or something. I don't know. I'll think about it. But I like it so far. It's a little on the subtle side, and it would look really nice layered with some other things. All right. I'm going to flip this camera around. All right, friends. That was fun. Here's a necklace that I have so far. I didn't cut it off yet. Let's see. It's probably to be like this. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. You know, that would be good. I like it having a little bit of movement. You know, a little bit of chain dangling would be a neat little extra to that. What do you guys think? Oh, Sheree says, I do coordinated necklaces to layer. Nice. Yeah. Oh, you like these earrings? Kate made these. You guys remember my good friend Kate Richburg? You guys will be seeing her this weekend on Friday night. As a matter of fact, during preview night, we'll be kicking it off Friday preview night for the Great Beat Extravaganza. Y'all should tune in. It's free. It's fun. It's a lot of sales happening, and there's a lot of free content. You can learn a thing or two. I always learn something good. Heather has some really fun projects that she does. I always like to see what she's going to make. One time she did like cotton. Do you remember that, the spun cotton? That was cool. Or those beaded flowers. This time we're going to do a hat band, and it will be kind of a fast and furious because we're casting a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to do a live sale. So I'm going to make a little money before Tucson starts. So we're going to have a sale. We're going to have, what else are we going to have? It's going to be a big, good time. And I believe there's a trend report. I was like, man, I liked it when we had trivia night, but you know, I don't know if you guys remember those days, but I thought it was kind of fun. All right, my friends, this was a good time. This is called Sophie's Garden, the bead collection. It's really lovely. It's a very subtle colorway. It's a rainbow colorway. Every color is kind of represented in there. I think it is, except for maybe I was going to say yellow, but yeah, but I don't really see a lot of yellow. But anyway, I'm happy with this. I'm just going to connect it off. Maybe pull that one off the end. All right, but I've gone for an hour and 20. No one wants to see that. That's on there for like the rest of our lives. What Carolyn says, are you putting the pattern for the cat puppet online? The cat. Oh, I should do that. I should. I've been plotting and planning on getting those paper dolls in a digital download format, and I haven't gotten around to it. It's on my things to do list. But it's happening. You should see this. Look at this business here. I'm going to turn the camera around. Get ready. I see the mess of my... Oh, that's the wrong way. That's Azalea's sewing station. Look at this. All that brown that you're seeing, that's Marty under there. He's sleeping, and Azalea just decided to crouch in there with him. So cute. So cute. All right, friends, we'll see you this weekend. So we will not be doing our usual Sunday night magic hour because our friend Christy, or maybe it's not Christy, they did a little finagling with the schedule, so there might have been a couple of changes. I'm not sure who's going at that time, but we won't be going on at 7:30. We'll be going on at 2:30. So if you want to see all the stuff we've been making for the past couple of weeks, it's going to be dropping Sunday at 2:30 Eastern time. I don't know what that translates to for West Coast, but East Coast, that's 2:30. All right, my friends, we love you out there, and we hope you are all safe and warm and dry and doing something creative. All right, my friends, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.